Hello, welcome to Impact Weekly. Thanks for
It's
joining
that
us here today.
time. So excited. I love doing this. I love it. Someone was asking me about it yesterday. So I want to preface by saying, no, this isn't a podcast. This is just us showing up every week because we normally talk every single morning. And we were like, we should just let people know what some of these conversations we're often having are, but also use it up as an opportunity for teaching moments. So if you've been catching our lives or seeing any of our clips on replay, we super appreciate you. And just let us know you're watching so we know we're not talking into the ethers.
Or we're talking regardless. So really, it's
I
more
mean,
like
we're doing it anyway.
they are joining our phone call.
Exactly. And the point I would love to make from that, and what I told the person, is it's about just showing up, messy or otherwise. It's about showing up. And so I hope that you take inspiration from that and that you're just using the opportunity to show up. However, we really do need to start a podcast because people keep asking me about it, but that'll come soon. Okay, this week, I thought it would be really fun. I've had so many people ask us in the last couple of weeks, or me, on calls and whatnot, about how you and I met, Kat. And so I know we don't talk about it a lot, maybe public facing. We talk about it a lot at our Profitable Speaker Boot Camp. Like, we share the whole story. So I thought it would be cool for us maybe today just to share a little bit of our journey, and then that way we can just have it out there in social media land for everyone.
It's crazy. I feel like it was such a long time ago now. Like I'm pretty sure that you have been the longest friend in my life. Like that actually stuck around. It probably says something about me. Yeah, let's rewind this back because I do like sharing that, and I think a lot of people do ask me as well. So back in the days, I used to host networking events and business events, and I had a pretty big network called Edmonton Business Network. It was over 5,000 entrepreneurs here locally in Edmonton, Alberta. I grew it pretty quickly, and I grew it originally because I wanted to grow my business, and I have realized the power of being in front of the room and being the speaker versus going and attending networking events. So it started like that, but obviously it evolved quite big. And I just remember one day I'm scrolling through and just checking out, socials and what's happening locally. And I see pictures of this other event happening locally. And to be transparent, there wasn't very many events of my size that were happening. So like there was a lot of small events or big conferences, but not like, this kind of like 50 to 300 people events. And I'm seeing all those pictures, and it's like all women, and they look amazing. Like they're having fun and they're laughing. And I was like, who is this person hosting those awesome events? I really want to get to know them and like check them out and see what they're doing. And I remember going and registering, and I was like, okay, it looks like there's kind of like 3 people hosting it or something like that. And I was like, it's kind of weird, but whatever, I'll check it out. And so I ended up registering to your event, Kim.
Yeah.
And I just remember driving to it and thinking, oh my gosh, why would they host an event in the middle of nowhere, the furthest south side that you could find? And then I pulled up to a building and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. It was like a brand new building, like all windows, floor to ceiling. Like it was a really cool design. So I actually really enjoyed the space. I couldn't find for a little bit where it is. And I just remember coming up to the double doors was like those big metal handles that you kind of open both of them. And all I knew is I was already quite a bit late.
Yeah.
And so as I come up and I grab the doors and I pull them apart, the whole room was so quiet. And there were people on one side and you were standing like in front of them on the stage.
Yeah.
And everybody turns and looks at me.
Literally, like everybody's like, ooh.
The most memorable was your look. Because I swear, you gave me the dirtiest look. that just made me like shrivel in and go around the corner and grab that cup of tea and be quiet.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I have that effect on people. It just gives off a vibe whether I want it to or not. So don't ever take it personally. I don't think I was like an ugly look. I think it was more curiosity. And I didn't know who you were. And I was actually excited. Like I knew of you, right? And I was excited when I saw that you'd signed up for the event and then you weren't there when we started. So I thought, oh, maybe she changed her mind, right? So when you did walk in, I was curious. I was like, oh, okay, she is here. That's really cool. But also, I was like probably 10 minutes into sharing my personal story of being a teen mom from a stage for the very first time. Like, it was really scary. It was a really big, courageous step for me because that was really the first time I had publicly talked about, finding out I was pregnant when I was 14. Because I'd often been very closed in about that story because of the judgment I would get from people, and then the instant questions that they always wanted to ask me. So I was up on stage, kind of like bearing my soul for the first time, and then Kat just like bursts into the room, and everyone turns and looks. Now, I mean, it's such a great story, and it was like from there that you and so I was co-hosting that event with a couple other local coaches, because right away when I started my business, leaving corporate, I saw the power of collaboration and how much easier it could be to fill events by doing it with other people. So it wasn't just me trying to build a network alone, and so collaboration is something right from the beginning that I had in my mind that I really wanted in my business. And it was so interesting how naturally you and I then moved into a role of collaboration. We started swapping stages for our own events, which then kind of led into us actually coming up for the idea for Profitable Speaker Bootcamp, our signature event, before we even went into business together, and then us going into business together. And lots of people like to ask how that happened. And I think part of it was because we both were individually doing these events, and so many people were starting to come and say, hey, like, I see you're getting clients from doing this, and I'm speaking at events and I'm hosting events and I'm not getting that same result. Tell me what you're doing. I mean, and of course, I had learned from you because you called me out right away from when I spoke at your event for the very first time. And you said, oh my God, Kim, like, you blew my mind. And you were missing a crucial step, which I won't talk about today, but we do talk about it in other content. So, people were asking us, and I think that was that along with our mutual love of collaboration, but also wanting to make a difference, was really how we came to start our first business. And the idea came to us around a fire in the summer. So it was like July, we're coming up on our business anniversary, over a round of s'mores, right? Like sitting there with marshmallows, chocolate, and graham crackers. And it was like, hey, what if? And it was like, I think within an hour, we had a whole business concept. Yeah. We had our first offer, and we launched like 2 weeks later. And now here we are. Is it 7 years now? Like our anniversary is going to be 7 years in business together. So it's so crazy, like, but also almost like serendipitous. Like we were always meant to work with each other. We just had to find one another.
I think that's the thing that I find when it comes to partnerships, right? Is a lot of people ask us about that too. Is how did we even manage to stay in partnership and this business still going 7 years later? Because it is very, very rare. And I don't even know statistics behind it, but I know it's very rare and it's very unique. And for me on my side is finding someone who's so deeply aligned on those personal values, but also on who we are and how we show up in the world, that it's a no-brainer to rather have conversations about difficult things, about, shit going down, about what's coming up for me, whether I want to keep doing it or I want to do something else, right? We just always really valued that sense of transparency with each other, where we have radical honesty with whatever is happening for us. We also have a huge sense of loyalty to each other. And we both have very similar drive for creating impact in the world. And so I think those three things on their own continuously bring us together and drive us forward. Because for me, that radical honesty really helps us have the hard conversations with an open mind and without judgment. And sometimes it's hard, of course, like we're human, right? And I'd rather be transparent with my business partner about everything that's happening for me so we can make those decisions together.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us, like, not once, probably twice, we talked about potentially closing the business and maybe doing something else. And even then, we talked about doing something else still together. So it really comes to the point of we just found each other in the place and the two people so humanly connected that it's actually easier for us to drive our life and business forward together than it would be apart.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it is way more fun to grow a business with a business partner. It's way more collaborative, bouncing ideas off of each other. That it is truly a blessing to do that. And don't don't be disguised by the looks because it comes with its own difficulties. You have
That's
to have two
exactly
of
what I
us
was
making
thinking. Yeah.
every decision, and two
Yeah.
of us hashing it out, and two
Yeah.
of us going head to head on some of the ideas. And each one of us has our own personality quirks where I can start any fire and any project and I get pumped for it and I get everybody going and then I get bored and leave. And Kim has to pick up and come in and actually make sure it gets completed, right? So we each have our own quirks when it comes to how we work and what it is that we enjoy doing. So even continuously investing into discovering ourselves and
Mm-hmm.
sharing that with each other really supports us in that growth of our business and staying together.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, this is the first time in my life and a business life that I feel like business partnership is actually a huge benefit. Like it's truly one of those 50-50, we pitch in 50-50 on everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is rare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think so lots of people ask like how do you continue to do that? I think one of like you already identified the three things. I think some other things we've done that have been huge is doing a lot of self-discovery of our personalities, understanding ourselves better, but also how we interact with one another so that when we are running into, you know, like a wall with each other, we understand why. Sometimes it's just hunger and we need a break.
Yep. Yeah.
Other
90% of
times
the time it's just hunger.
exactly, right? Sometimes it's actually what was really big for us was having like a human design reading. So we each understood our human design, but also how we complement one another. And like understanding our Myers-Briggs. And like we've done so many different types of values assessments and also doing work to understand our individual core values and where we're aligned and where we're different because our top 5 core values, although are the same, they're in slightly different order and that affects how you make decisions, right? I get super triggered around time. So you can always tell when something is going on with me where I'm getting frustrated. It's usually time related, right? I feel constrained or like I have too much on my to-do list. So having that kind of understanding of yourself, but also your business partner is such a huge asset to building that long-term relationship, but also energetics. So it's interesting. You and I don't front-facing talk about energetics a lot, but we do a lot behind the scenes. So I think we need to get better at that. But we often talk about the energy of our business, how it's feeling, how we're feeling. You know, are we feeling any kind of like blockage or misalignment? We like to pull tarot cards sometimes when we're decision making or even just when we're getting together. We're like, hey, what do we need to know? We do muscle testing. Like we have so many different ways that we're constantly checking in with each other, but also the business, because the business has its own energy that we create together, but that it also creates on our own because we are creating a movement of impact makers. And so sometimes our decisions get guided by what we see as best for the collective of our clients or our events. So it's kind of interesting, and just continually having that awareness and checking in, I think, is one of our superpowers that really makes our business successful, that I see probably is one of the reasons why other partnerships sometimes falter.
Definitely. And that does come with a big warning sign, right? Business partnerships can be very difficult. So most of them are. So investing the time and actually getting to know each other. don't follow our footsteps into starting a business within like 2 weeks of having that conversation.
Yeah.
Really invest the time into getting to know each other and how you work together and do some work together. So, you know how it looks like. So nowadays, some of my time is dedicated to investing into our businesses, where I would essentially own a part of the business for being a consultant and helping them grow. And that's one of the things that I do by default is we have a project that we do together to identify even if we're a good fit. Because I don't want to come into a business and all of a sudden find out that that was not a good fit for us to work together, whether it's me and how I work and how I produce results doesn't work for the business, or the business is opposite. It just does not follow the direction, or they don't have the capacity to produce, or whatever it is, right? So it is important to have some time and capacity that you spend together and actually get to know each other. And when you do that, it will be very apparent. Honestly, one project can highlight just about all the differences that two people can have or two businesses.
Yeah.
So really invest that time into it. I think it makes a huge difference. For us, I'd say we got lucky, meant to be. The stars were aligned. I don't know what it is. Like, it's great. And I have been in business partnerships before where I wish I have done that. So definitely that's the big warning label, right? Is work with someone before you actually decide to partner with them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had a couple collaborative partnerships that went down in a burning pile of shit before I met you. So
Yep.
it happens. It's not like we're just so amazing that, we make everything work all the time. But I think, a lot of it is just we're really well matched for each other. And also, I think if I were to leave you with a final piece of like information, is have a partnership agreement in place. Like, get your legal butt covered in case things don't go well, because odds are it might go down in a flaming like pile, and you want to make sure that you have an exit strategy, that you've discussed, if you need a shotgun clause, like what are the things that are going to happen if you decide you no longer want to work together, so that there's no stress about it if you decide to part ways. I think that's just such a huge conversation a lot of people avoid, because they're just being they don't want to put that energy out there, and they're like, everything's going to be perfect and amazing, but you just don't know. You just don't know. So
you really got to go to the worst case scenario.
Yeah. Your business is an asset, and it's important that you protect it and yourself. So, okay. Well, what's our call to action today, Kat?
Well, for those of you listening or you're watching to a replay, say hello, but also let us know. Do you have any other partnership questions? Has there been a collaboration you've been thinking about, or perhaps a business partnership that's brewing and you have a question for us? Drop it. We've been in multiple partnerships now. We're so happy to share our experience, and we're happy to just support you with it.
Yeah, completely agree. All right. If you catch this, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next Thursday.